Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulullah. Amma ba'd, my dear beloved brothers and sisters. We continue in our lectures or series on controversial subjects. Today we're going to talk about music. Is music halal or haram? There's a couple of things we need to do. Number one is understand that matters of the dunya, as we say, al-asl huwa al-hil. When it comes to the matters of the dunya, wearing things that are not religious worship, like listening to music, watching TV, using a knife, using a fork, using a cell phone, using a computer. Is that halal or haram? It's 100% halal. Unless I find something that I'm using it somehow that is haram, or there's a hadith that says, no, a computer that has XYZ is haram, then it becomes makruh or it becomes haram. But anything originally, the origin, fatwa, is it's halal. Anything in this dunya, the origin is it's halal. Unless there's something that indicates if you do it this way or do it that way, it becomes haram. Okay? Music originally is halal. This is what the fuqaha say. Now, generally, everything is halal. Unless we have a hadith or a verse that says that it's haram, then it becomes haram. So when we come in, whether I think it's halal or haram, let's clarify our mind and say that everything in this dunya, according to the ulama, the fuqaha, is halal until something specific says it's haram. If we have a verse that says haram, then it's haram. If we have a hadith that says it's haram, 100% haram. So we start by saying right now, let's start with an open mind and say that it is halal. And look at the verses and the hadith on the subject of music. Right. Now, number two, the fuqaha say, the scholars say, al-hukmu ala shay'un juz'un min tasawwurih, aw far'un min tasawwurih. When you give a hukum, when you say something, you make a judgment, something is halal or haram, it's based on your perception. So we also want to clarify our perception. What does that mean? It means if I was to say music is halal, somebody's going to say, this brother Bashir, he's saying that going to the bar and dancing and having, people that are naked and listening to music and drinking alcohol is halal. Did I say that? Are we talking about going to the bar and listening to the music and dancing and naked and drinking alcohol and okay? So don't imagine that picture. We're talking about a specific picture. You are sitting in your home, you have a duf, which is like a little drum, and you did this. Is it haram or halal? You walk into a house, your friend's house, they have a piano or a little organ, and you click, you just press the piano, ding. Is that haram or halal? We're not talking about nightclubs and bar and music and naked and drinking alcohol. We're not talking about that. Okay? So let's agree that we're talking about, is musical instruments with voice, if someone is singing along with it, is it haram or halal? Number three, before we even start talking about it, is things that are haram with or without music. Yeah, and if someone uses bad words, someone cusses someone out, you son of a this and daughter this, and you wear this and you did this and I did this to your, is this haram? If I just say it, yes. Then whether it's with music or not music, it's haram. A lady is walking naked. If she's in a music video, she's not in a music video, walking publicly naked, it's haram. Okay, so let's clarify what we're saying. The premise is, are musical instruments haram, whether you're using words along with it or not. Anything else that's haram is haram with or without music. Bad words, the way you dress, you're drinking, you're not drinking, you're in a bar, this, whether there is music or not, if it's haram, it's haram, if it's halal, it's halal. So let's just focus on it from an Islamic perspective. So I hope those 3 points prerequisite gets us on starting on the right page. Right. We said that it's halal unless there is a verse or hadith. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah says, before you give a fatwa, what do? You get all of the verses in the Quran and all of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and put it together, and then you give your fatwa. So let's see people that say it's haram, what they're saying and why they're saying it's haram. And then we make our judgment, is it haram or halal, and we bring our proof. We have some scholars that say music is haram. We have some scholars that say music is halal. Okay, so we want to find out where's the truth, like saying what Allah says and what the Prophet ﷺ says. Those that say it's halal say there's a verse in Surah As-Sajdah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. There's a group of people that buy lahwa al-hadith, which is, hadith means speech, the art of speech. The art of speech, they buy it, they pay for it to misguide people. Abdullah ibn Abbas says, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud says, this is music, and this proves that music is haram. That lahu al-hadith, the art of words, means music, and music is haram because it means that. Okay? طيب. Assume it's music. It's not haram. It doesn't say music is haram. Let's clarify. This verse does not say that music is haram. This verse says, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ. The Prophet ﷺ used to sit in Mecca and give da'wah. So one of the leaders of Quraysh, of the Kuffar, he used to bring poets, lahu al-hadith. They used to say poetry in certain words, and sometimes there'll be dancers, like belly dancers in Mecca itself. Why? So when you speak to the Prophet ﷺ, you can't listen to him. So the poet starts to higher their voice, and the musicians higher their music, and the dancers dance so that they distract you. You start looking at them and checking them out and whatever. Why? So that they misguide you from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to say, and if the name of Allah is mentioned in front of them, so the verse is not talking about music being haram. It's talking about people using things such as poetry, which is halal, and music, which this does not prove it's haram, and belly dancers and other things that are haram, to what? To distract from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're paying for it to distract. So if you're paying for anything, I'm paying for a TV, which is halal, or paying for computer time, or paying for YouTube to put something to distract you from Allah, it's haram. Even though YouTube in itself is not haram, or computer in itself is not haram, or technology in itself is not haram. Okay, so this verse does not prove that it's haram, but it proves that there were people that paid for poetry and poets and musical instruments and dancers to distract from listening to the Prophet ﷺ. So music is not haram from this verse 100%. Right. Now let's go to the hadith. They use a hadith in Sahih Bukhari in which, according to the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, before the day of judgment, سيكونن من أقوام من أمتي يحلون الحر والحرير والمعازف والخمر. From my ummah, from my nation, there will be a group of people that are going to do four things before the day of judgment. From the signs of the day of judgment, they're going to do four things. Number one, they're going to make sex halal. They're going to make music halal. They're going to make alcohol halal, and harir, which is a certain kind of fabric, basically. A silk. They're going to make silk halal. Like this hadith proves quietly, very clearly, that music is haram. So now we say, hold on, hit the brakes. Number one, a few scholars, the best scholars in hadith, well known, one of them that is the first person to discuss Sahih al-Bukhari, did the best explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari, and his name is Ibn Hazm. Ibn Hazm says that this hadith is mu'allaq. It doesn't go to the Prophet ﷺ. This hadith is not sahih, it's da'if. It's not a sahih hadith. And there's a lot of other scholars such as Imam al-Shawkani and they say that this hadith is not sahih. But if you think music is halal, you should pray that this hadith is not sahih. Let me say it again. This hadith is not sahih. But people that are saying music is haram, they say no. The Prophet ﷺ said, day of judgment, there's certain people that are going to make music halal, and this proves that. So this hadith is, for me to make my point, I have to use this hadith. It has to be sahih. I don't care about your scholar, Shawkani or Ibn Hazm. No, this hadith is sahih, whether you like it or not. So now I am begging you, if you want to prove that music is haram, please do not use this hadith and fight with me and say that this hadith is da'if. Why? Like, many reasons. Reason number one is every item by itself haram or the collection of it? Is the Prophet ﷺ saying what happens, like, Malish, forgive me for saying this, but what happens in a bar or a strip bar, for example? Is he drawing that picture where people are sitting and having sex and drinking and wearing, Gucci or whatever, harir and silk and listening to music? So the combination of all of it, we all agree is haram. People that are having sex and drinking and alcohol, the whole combination together is haram, we all agree, no problem. But if you talk about each and every one of them separately, there is no way that they're all haram. Take the first one. What does hir means? Hir means sex. The majority of the Muslims have sex with who? With their wife. The most frequent people to have sex are married people. So sex by itself cannot be haram. Okay. Number two, harir, silk. The majority of the Muslims from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until Yawm al-Qiyamah are women. And harir or silk is halal for them. So we cannot say it's haram for the majority. We cannot say sex is haram for the majority. So each one by itself cannot be haram. It has to be the collective together. And then we agree. It describes what happens in the bars and what happens in strip bars where you have people having sex and drinking and wearing this and throwing money and yeah, that combination and listening to music and whatever. The hadith, it draws that picture. It's very clear to me. Okay. And actually there's another hadith in which, and now you can see the hadith coming together and it proves that all four of them together, not one by itself, is haram. So it doesn't make music haram, but it talks about the combination. The other hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says, before the day of judgment will be a people that will drink alcohol and name it with a different name, يسمونها بغير اسمها, and are listening to music and doing this and celebrating and saying that it's halal, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy all of them. Whether it's an earthquake or like a lightning that comes from it, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they combined all of them. That hadith is very clear about the combination. So one by itself is not haram from this hadith. That's the second point in this hadith. The third point, and this is why I'm telling you Shawkani and Ibn Hazm and other scholars say it's da'if. Now you want to wish that it's da'if. Why? Because here's a question. If I'm a Muslim, there's two kinds of sins, okay? There's a sin that I do out of weakness. I didn't pray because I was sleepy and I'm tired and I committed a sin and I ask Allah to forgive me. Allah, I committed a sin. I am weak. I didn't pray. Then Allah forgives me because it's a sin and I'm asking Allah for my shortcomings to forgive me. Okay? But then there's another person that says, Allah, how dare you tell me to pray? It's wrong for you to tell me to pray. No, this is kufr. Now you're kafir. Now you're not a Muslim. When I say it's my mistake, Allah forgive me, Allah forgives me. And I'm a Muslim. But when I say, Allah, you are wrong. You said this is halal, but it's haram. Or you said this is haram and this is halal. You are wrong and I am right. No, this is kufr. This is what happened with Adam and Shaitan or Iblis. Allah said, Adam, don't eat from this tree. He committed the sin and ate from the tree. But what did he say? Did he say, Allah, it's your fault? No, he said, Allah, it's my fault. رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا وَإِن لَمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا وَتَرْحَمْنَا لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Allah, we have committed a sin and we have wronged ourselves. Please, Allah, forgive us for our mistake. Your mistake, Adam? Yes, I forgive you. What did Iblis or Shaitan say? When Allah said, make sujood to Adam, honor Adam and prostrate before him. He said, Allah, I am better than him. How dare you tell me to make sujood to him? It's your mistake, Allah. It's not my mistake that I don't make sujood. It's your mistake to tell me to make sujood to him. Ana khayrun min. I am better than him. Here, he became kafir. Here, he became kafir. So you can commit a sin and say, it's my mistake. You're a Muslim and ask Allah for forgiveness. You can make a mistake by saying, Allah, no, it's not my fault. It's your fault. And then you're a kafir. You're not a Muslim. So now the Prophet ﷺ, according to this hadith, says before the day of judgments, there are people that are going to do what? They're going to, according to you, there are four things: music and harir, which is silk, and sex, and they're going to make all of those things that are haram, they're going to make them halal. They're not going to do it and say, this is my mistake. They're going to say, no, 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 it's halal. Allah said it's haram, but I'm telling you it's halal. Is that kufr or not? We agree that that's kufr. So what does the hadith describe them as? Remember, on the day of judgment, the Prophet ﷺ has what's called the shafa'ah. This is where he brings people from the hellfire by the mercy of Allah and gets them into Jannah. What is that shafa'ah based on? The shafa'ah is based on, he says, Allah, ummati, ummati, la as'aluka illa ummati. Ummati is my people, my community. Allah, all I'm begging you for is my people, my ummati. According to this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, لَيَكُونَنَّ أَقْوَامٌ مِّنْ أُمَّتِي. Before the day of judgment, there are going to be people from my ummah. From my what? From my ummah. Who's going to enter the Jannah Yawm al-Qiyamah? The ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. Did he say that those people are kuffar? No. Did he say those people are hypocrites and munafiqeen? No. He said those people are what? Min ummati. They are from my ummah. So if I come according to this hadith and I say music is halal and alcohol is halal, and sex is halal, and wearing silk for men is halal. According to this hadith, then I'm from the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. What are you angry about? You see the dilemma? You see the problem? According to this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, لَيَكُونَنَّ أَقْوَامٌ مِّنْ أُمَّتِي. There will be a group of people. What? From the kuffar? From the hypocrites? From the... No. From ummati. Remember the ummati that he's going to come Yawm al-Qiyamah and say, come and enter Jannah with me? Those my people that I love so much, from my ummah that I love, that I'm going to protect Yawm al-Qiyamah. There's going to be a group of people that are going to make music halal. And they're going... Is Allah going to punish them? Allah... No, he didn't say anything. He just said, from my ummah. So if I come right now and I say sex is halal, whether you're a wife or not, and music is halal, and drinking alcohol is halal, and whether you're a man or woman, you wear silk is halal, I'm from the Ummah of Prophet. He didn't say any punishment. He didn't say anything wrong. He didn't say, he says, if you make it halal, you're from my ummah. Do you see that this hadith does not prove, it does not prove that music is haram and opens a can of worms to us? Okay. So we don't use this hadith in saying that music is haram. Do not use this hadith. This hadith, to the contrary, opens a different kind of worms. That's why we have to join it with the other hadith and say the collection of them together. The other hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says, from the signs of the Day of Judgment, are a group of people that make alcohol halal and they name it without its name. You can Google it. يسمونها بغير اسمها, and they have musical instruments and they're dancing with dancers and da. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will crush them and punish them. That shows that it's haram, and proving it in this dunya, Allah will punish them before the Day of Judgment. But that first hadith that people are using to say that music is haram does not say that music is haram. To the contrary, it says they are from the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. And Allah says, and the Prophet ﷺ says, Yawm al-Qiyamah, I will give my shafa'ah to ummati. And he did not say I will punish them or I hate them, or they said they're going to make it's halal and they're my ummah. He described them as my ummah. He didn't describe them as bad people or evil people. So that hadith does not hold that water. Right. Now, let's look at the actions of the Prophet ﷺ. Was there any musical instruments in the time of the Prophet ﷺ? And the answer is yes. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, in Yawm al-Eid, the Prophet ﷺ was laying down, resting and covering his face as he was laying there. And a couple of young girls came to the house or the room of the Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha and her friends, and they were like singing to her with a drum, and they were singing and playing and dancing. Little girls, it's a cute thing and whatever. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was walking outside, and he walked very angry. He said, Amizmaru shaitan fi bayt Rasulullah. He heard the music is saying what? Is the instruments of shaitan in the house of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? The Prophet ﷺ opened his head and looked at Abu Bakr and said, Abu Bakr, no. This is the day of Eid, and let the people know that in our Eid there's happiness and joy. If there is music and it's haram, the Prophet ﷺ will not allow girls to come and sing and dance and do the duf in his house. Number two, on the day of Eid, the Prophet ﷺ was sitting in his room where he heard a loud noise, and he stood up over the wall to look into the masjid, and he saw the ahbash, men coming from the land of Sudan, because the word Sudan is mentioned in the hadith, and the hadith is sahih, in which the Prophet ﷺ looked, and they were playing with their rimah, with their spears, وَدُرُوكِهِمْ رِمَاحِهُمْ وَدُرُوكِهِمْ. So they were, doing a lot of you see those, African dances and whatever, and drums and whatever. They were doing it in the masjid, in al-Medina, in the front of the Prophet ﷺ. And they were singing and saying, Muhammadur Rajulun Salih, Muhammadur Rajulun Salih, Muhammad is a pious man, Muhammad is a good man, Muhammad is a pious man. Not only did the Prophet ﷺ enjoy it, but then as Sayyidah Aisha was sitting next to him, he said, Aisha, come here, watch this. And she put her head, over her chin over his shoulder, and her cheeks next to his cheeks, and she started to watch for a long time. And then he asked her, are you tired? She says, no, I want to keep watching, as they were doing their dances and their drums and their spears and their protection in front of the Prophet ﷺ, those cultural African dances. Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab enters the masjid and says, what is this? He takes stones and starts to stone them. And the Prophet ﷺ says, Umar, leave them alone. Leave them alone. And the hadith is sahih. So again, we're not drawing the picture of, I want to go, this hadith means I can go to the bar and listen to the music and no. And someone who's dressed with no clothes on, and no. Musical instruments or singing with musical instruments by itself is not haram. How you expand that circle is, we're not talking about that. We're talking about that al-ma'azif, the musical instruments, and some noise over it. Someone that's saying beautiful words, kind words, praising his parents, praising his wife, praising his children, energizing people to do something good. Some people are saying things to praise the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and Al al-Bayt and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum wa ardahum. Some people that are commemorating people to teach them how to be more patriotic and loving and having great values to their friends and neighbors, to forgive each other. People that are putting a message of a power, and there's musical instruments in the background. There is nothing wrong with that. The Prophet ﷺ has allowed it. It happened in his own presence. Now, to be fully transparent, we're going to get almost the last hadith in this subject, which is narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab. He was walking by. People that say it's haram say Abdullah ibn Umar was walking by, and there was a farmer that was playing a flute. A farmer that's playing the flute. So what did Abdullah ibn Umar do? Immediately put his hands in his fingers in his ears so he don't listen to it. So it's haram? No, it's not haram. Because something is halal does not mean you have to enjoy it. The Sahaba used to eat a kind of a lizard called dab. If you go to Saudi Arabia until today, or Kuwait or whatever, they love to eat that. It's like a lizard. It's called dab. When they put it in front of the Prophet ﷺ, he stayed far away of it. They said, Prophet of Allah, is it haram? He said, no, it's not. It's halal, but I don't like it. So music is halal, but Sayyidina Abdullah, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, he doesn't like music. So he put his fingers in his ears. He doesn't want to hear it. Because if it is haram, he would have went to the farmer and said, this is haram. But he did not say it's haram to him. Then he said, without even getting to a lot of details, but if it was haram, him would have went to the farmer and said that this is haram. This is the Medina. This is where Islam is spreading. This is where he's the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab. Not only is he a great scholar, but he's the son of the Khalifa himself. So if it was haram, he would have said it. But he did not say that it's haram or even advise him or counsel him, which means that it's not haram. It's just that you can prefer. Because something is halal does not mean that you have to listen to it, but it simply means that you can protect from it. So music or musical instruments accompanied with words that are kind, the words that teach us to be more empowered and encourage us or make us better Muslims, or remind us of the Prophet ﷺ and loving him, or encouraging us to forgive each other and love each other, or praise our parents and reminding us to honor our parents, that have a positive message, a loving message, something that brings the husband closer to the wife and the wife closer to the husband. By all means, that is halal. أقول هذا القول واستغفر لي ولكم من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم.